Sydney, Australia is the centre of the rugby universe as the two semi-finals and the final of Rugby World Cup 2003 take place. And first up, Southern Hemisphere property, New Zealand, Australia. And it's all happening, isn't it? Southern Hemisphere today, it's Northern Hemisphere tomorrow. I've got a man who's played for Wales and for New Zealand next to me, Shane Howarth. Shane, all the pressure is on the Wallabies, who are defending the Webb Ellis Trophy. It's on their shoulders. Maybe the All Blacks defending a reputation here?
Yeah, I mean, there's pressure on both sides, but I think it's more on the Australians than it is on the Kiwis. They've been under pressure the whole tournament, and criticism and levelled at them from all ex-players and everybody, and the Kiwis have been quite quiet about coming into it.
Reuben Thorne, George Gregan leading out the respective sides. The preparation has been fantastic. They're fine-tuned. They're two great sides. We know what they're capable of doing. What about keeping composure, Shane?
I think that's a massive word, Wilco, is composure. You know, the All Blacks, they've got form coming into here, but really in semi-finals of World Cup, form, what happened 6 months earlier doesn't matter. And the Australians will know that. They just have to win this one game. If they win it by 1 point, that's all that matters. They're in the final. So really from a viewpoint, you've got to hope that the Kiwis' confidence is up there, because if they get a very good start, then I don't think the Australians can hold them.
Reuben Thorne, people have questioned him, his role in this All Black side. Do you have a doubt about it?
No, because I think the team's around him. You know, he took a lot of criticism pre this World Cup, but the team has bonded around him. And you see them, like you see Carlos and the likes of that. They're enjoying their rugby, and probably because Reuben Thorne is just a quiet man of the side. But for me, 10, 12 and 13 is where this game's going to be won. If Major and McDonald can be as good as they were against South Africa, then I think they're going to let Rokafoko, Howlett and Muliaina loose.
And of course, Shane, that's because 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 did their job.
Exactly.
Now then, the Australians.
Question mark about the 6, 7, 8, whether it's the right combination, but really Saylor, Takeri and Rogers, if they step up today, they're fantastic rugby players, be it league or union. Ball in hand, very, very strong. And I think Eddie Jones, he hasn't tried to play that expansive game, so maybe look for it today.
Lots of mind games being played in Australia, lots of words being written, but it's all about the next 80 minutes. Let's go inside Telstra Stadium for a packed house and the anthems. Australia, the defending world champions, are up for the biggest contest they've had in 4 years. The All Blacks are ready. The All Blacks who won the inaugural World Cup. Is it a home semi-final? How much support will the All Blacks have? Let's have a look at the benches.
2 names, Case Muse and Brad Thorne. Look for them to come on with 25, 30 minutes to go. And also Cobain, if the Australian line-out's not going well, look for him to be introduced pretty early.
Joe Roff on there as well. No place in the 22 for Matthew Burke. Get set for the haka. Stage is set for the first of the semi-finals. It's an all Southern Hemisphere affair. Reuben Thorne's All Blacks, George Gregan's Wallabies. Final thoughts now from Shane Howarth as we prepare for this big one.
For the Aussies, they have to start. If they don't start in this match, if the All Blacks are over in the first 10 or 15, it'll be a blowout. If the Aussies get in there and get stuck in, this will be a very, very close contest. But I'm going with the All Blacks.
Star Sports bringing you live and exclusive coverage of the Rugby World Cup. Chris White of England is the match referee. As the Wallabies sing Waltz and Matilda, let's go inside Telstra Stadium. Enjoy the match with us on Star Sports. Tim Horan, Dan Crowley and Gordon Bray are your match commentators.
He's a 41-year-old who began refereeing at the age of 17. The quiet achiever Reuben Thorne glances round and says we're ready to go. And it's Carlos Spencer to do the honours. Semi-final number 1, Rugby World Cup 2003, and the first touch for Lottie Takiri, and he powers ahead. Elton Flatley into scrum half for Larkham, and Gregan out here in midfield, and Australia going wide early. This is Smith, just outside the 22. Larkham now, and again they elect to run and surprise New Zealand. Rogers. He beat a couple of tackles, so very adventurous play from the Wallabies in the early stages.
Oh, great work. They're going to take it to them. The thing they spoke about was don't stop wondering. Don't worry about it. Put everything on the park tonight.
Great work out here for Sharp. Hewitt's across and Sharp lost the ball there, appeared to, but it went straight down. No knock on. 6th phase for the Australians. This is Darwin, the big tight head prop. And he hit a lump of concrete there. Now Larkham again, and Mortlock. New Zealand's defence is muscling up, but the pressure tells. And the referee saying a ruck had formed. There were at least one player from either side over the ball carrier on the ground, and in that situation you cannot handle the ball on the ground.
Well, having the Wallabies shown their hand very early on the first 2 minutes of this game, going wide at every occasion. Lottie Takiri taking the ball off the kick-off. New Zealand opting to go on the right-hand side of the kick-off to the backs, and Lottie Takiri taking it, and the Wallabies now starting to build some pressure on the All Blacks early.
And Dan Crowley.
Don't forget English Premier League football next Saturday on ESPN. Manchester United against Blackburn Rovers.
Matthew, they want to beat them in all facets, and that's a great line out to start.
Here's Flatley, and Lyons charging through. Flatley got away from McCaw. The Australians looking razor sharp in the early stages. That's Brendan Cannon. And Nathan Sharp. And just look at that low body height from the big lock. Lyons bumps off 2, including Leon McDonald there. 22-metre line. Australia hot on the charge here. Mortlock. It's New Zealand doing all the offending. They haven't been able to touch the ball, and Larkin looking for his second drop goal in Test rugby, but no joy. He kicked the drop goal of the century in the semi-final in 1999 at Twickenham. It was a lot further out, and it was a lot more important against the box.
Well, it shows you what sort of defence New Zealand have as well. Australia were getting through the phases, but they weren't getting across the advantage on all the time, so Stephen Luck chose to try and put 3 points on very early in the match. But Australia now, will they attack again?
New Zealand still wondering when they're going to get their hands on the ball. Here's Big Dell. Wendell Sailor stepping off his left foot as he came to the contact area, just short of the halfway line. Out wide again is Sharp. Plenty of defence out there too.
But what Australia is getting at the moment is good quick phase ball and clean ball, good clean out. They've got to keep that up.
Referee just checking here with the touch judge to see if there was any illegal hand in there.
Well, you can see now also that the All Blacks are spreading across the field. The Wallabies have shown their hand early to go wide, but the All Blacks aren't committing to the ruck now, which allows their players to spread out in defence.
Mishandled there by Harrison. Referee playing on. Here's Flatley again. Jerry Collins there to meet him with Mialamu. And now Sailor getting very involved. Reuben Thorne was underneath. This is Sharp, just short of halfway. The Australians just working it through the phases, but having a definite strategy in mind, and they're making a little bit of ground here. New Zealand bunching up around the ruck. Flatley hammered. He was monstered there.
Oh, big hit, Ali Williams over the top. That's the second cruncher he's put on so far.
Mortlock! Obstruction is ruled. Obstruction ruled there by the referee as Mortlock sliced them.
Well, the Wallabies rocked the 8th phase again. Elton Flatley hammered Ali Williams. Great tackle. Brendan Cannon, number 2, standing there. Carlos Spencer ran into him, and Spencer knows how to play the referee.
Well, in the inaugural Test match in 1903 between Australia and New Zealand, the All Blacks played the whistle in that game. Australia didn't, and New Zealand came out on top.
Well, so far, 5 minutes into the game, New Zealand haven't had the ball. They've made 28 tackles, missed 3. Now it's Australia's turn. Can they aim up with their defence? It has been the best so far in this tournament, but these are a pretty good side to try and crack them.
And this is when New Zealand, this is when they're most dangerous. One-on-one.
Sharp got a rebound. It was lost ahead initially by New Zealand, so they won't be happy with that line-out execution. No advantage there to the Australians after New Zealand initially knocked on here.
Ali Williams has gone up high there, but he tried to use his outside arm on the ball and not getting close enough, and just went over to the Australian side.
Lions. Again, the Australians keeping the ball in hand. Matt Rogers to Muliaina on halfway. He's got a head of steam here. And Ben Darwin underneath. Jerry Collins coming in. Got away from War. Clean through. Support arrives from Williams. Spencer now. They're queuing up out wide. Howlett's there. So is McDonald and Rocketoko.
Oh, Wendell
Sailor. He watched him like a hawk. First points to Big Dell.
Well, he's pumped up Big Dell. Wendell Sailor, who's spoken a lot about his defensive lapses in the last couple of weeks. And there he goes, bang, Rockethoko. Most important thing there, didn't give Rockethoko any space to work in.
How good is that Jerry Collins, though? Breaks the line. He had a tremendous game last weekend, and he's up doing it again this week.
McCaw almost reaching out over the goal line. Australia in trouble here. Collins again. War was waiting. Now Mialamu. New Zealand finally getting their hands on the ball. They have a big overlap. Howlett. Muliaina. Did he get it down?
Time out, please.
He's pretty confident, Muliaina.
Have a look, please.
They spread the Wallaby defence.
Joel Juice. Well, you've got to look at the skill of these guys. Muliaina was in the New Zealand World Cup Sevens outfit. He is so dexterous. He is so athletic. Is he in touch?
I think he's dropped the ball as well. Takiri coming across.
The other angle will show it. I think his body's actually inside, but I think you're right, Tim. I think he's dropped it as he's gone to the ground.
A la George Gregan, Jeff Wilson.
He didn't have control of that.
Well, it was 94 kilos versus 103, and it will be a very brave TV official, Jonathan Kaplan, if he awards this one.
Well, back in the old days when they didn't have the video referee, in my early days of playing, you just to tell the referee I scored and he'd give the try.
It looks as though the elbow was certainly on the line, and Takiri has actually hit the corner post. Does he get the point down? Well, there's certainly an element of doubt. You'd have to agree with that. If it's touch in goal, it's back to the 22.
It's been knocked on. The 5 metre scrum. Goal kick.
So, knocked on in goal, which means it's a 5 metre scrum. He didn't control the ball.
There was good covering defence there by Lottie Takiri. He waited, didn't rush in. He took the last man and waited.
David Lyons going one out there. And Rogers with a hurried kick. Well, you've got to say that New Zealand have looked more menacing in attack. Australia has had a lot of possession without actually making a lot of territory.
New Zealand are going to leave nothing to the imagination tonight. They're going to throw it round. They know they've got speed on the wings and the fullback, and they're going to use it. Australia must pressure them in every opportunity, starting with this line out.
Try-saving tackles from Takiri and Wendell Sailor on either side of the field. And it's New Zealand in possession. Spencer again. Intercepted. Mortlock. They are going to make hard work of it. Rokithoko's chasing, but he can give up. Mortlock gets the first try. Length of the field against the run of play. Australia 5-0.
The Australians are absolutely pumped. Australia hard on defence, their backs are on the ropes. Spencer does a little shimmy, he's looked for the long pass, and who was swooping on it but Sterling Mortlock. Once he got it, they weren't going to catch him, it was shut the gate stuff.
Well, Tim Horan, that's a 14-point turnaround, because if Mortlock doesn't take that, it's a 7-pointer for the All Blacks. 7-0.
Well, Sterling Mortlock last week had a massive dive. This week slides in, and Wendell Sailor and Mortlock celebrate.
I think Sterling Mortlock might have had a word with his shoulder surgeon, Dr. Des Bocker, after his big dive last week on that reconstructed right shoulder.
Well, he mentioned during the week that if he gets a chance to score a try, he'd be sliding, not diving. And the important part about that try, Carlos Spencer took the ball right to the line, didn't stand deep, and the Wallabies 7-0.
The interesting point there, Dan, is that Rokithoko made no headway on Mortlock at all.
I don't think he was putting the hammer down. He knew he was gone for all money. Australia throw it wide again.
And Mortlock into touch. Well, from the 10-metre line, Rokithoko gave him 10 or 12 metre start. He chased him for 50 but made no headway for the next 40. Big setback there for John Mitchell and his All Black team. Mistake by Carlos Spencer, the man who's had the ball on a string in this World Cup tournament.
Be interesting to see now whether Carlos Spencer still throws those long cutouts. He's a player who builds with confidence throughout the game, puts a smile on his face.
Spencer again. Out wide is Muliaina with Rokothoko. And he's wrapped up by a very eager Australian cover defence.
The first call was made and you went in for a second go.
Well, the Australians are aware of Carlos Spencer and those long cut-out passes, and Mortlock was sweating on it.
Well, Chris White, the referee, being very articulate about what he was talking about. He told the Australians to stay away. Lions came back in for a second shot to try and pick the ball up.
In the 12th minute, shot for goal, Australia 7-0. Breathing space here for the New Zealanders. Game starting at a hectic pace. The loser of this game will be back on Thursday for the playoff for third. This is right at the limit of Leon McDonald's range. 40 metres is as far as he wants it. And he pulled it away quite badly there. So Australia preserving its converted try lead.
You can see there how Reuben Thorne taking the kick for goal, that option, rather than going for touch and putting points and the pressure on Australia. The New Zealand All Blacks looking to get points on the board.
Leon McDonald is only the fourth ranked kicker in the Canterbury Crusaders side, and that is very poor play by New Zealand. There was no one covering that far touchline.
Well, Elton Flatley, he shaped the kick left, saw their space on the right-hand side. He was in behind Aaron Major, and Flatley, see him his option right-hand side, a good low kick and finding space.
Reuben Thorne taking his time trying to redo the calls. The noise down on ground level makes it very difficult to hear the calls from the halfback.
That's Chris Jack.
That's still there, lads. There's a way to get through there. He knows it forward. It's gone down here, black ball.
So Australia putting the pressure on there, but just getting a hand on it and losing a head.
In the pre-game, talking to Ben Darwin, they'd spoken about how they want to put pressure on the hooker Mialamu. They think that in the front row, he is the chink to their armour.
Somerville packing very low at tight heads, but a bit of pressure coming on from the Australians. This New Zealand side looking rattled at the moment. It's not the well-oiled machine, and they've been stunned by Australia's very positive approach in this game from the opening kick-off.
Well, Carlos Spencer taking the option to kick the ball out. Gains about 45, 50 metres for his side, but you can see what the All Blacks are trying to do with their pattern of play. They're trying to tie up Elton Flatley and Stephen Larkham in close in there, make them make tackles, and then spread the ball wide in the second phase.
Comfortably taken there by by Harrison, and this is Phil Waugh. So Australia ahead by 7-0. And Larkham, the sort of kick that got him into trouble in Bledisloe, won here at Telstra Stadium. Muliaina with a bullocking run to within 10 of halfway. This is McDonald. Sterling Mortlock wrapped him up.
He went to ground. No, he went to ground. No, he went to ground.
Got to be on your feet,
Thank you, Andre.
says referee Chris White, and a bit of help there from
No, he went to ground first.
That's
the
great.
touch judge as well.
That's great work by the referee, isn't it? The boys are giving him a gobful, so he shifts the blame straight over to his touch judge.
It was his call. Well, but you can see Muliaina, his first option is always the counter-attack. He looks up, looks at his options, and then thinks, I'm going to have a go. You can hear Brendan Cannon talking to his players, stay alive.
Hang on, Jeremy, can we just keep that gap at the back?
Watch for the different options.
35 metres out. Spencer couldn't hold on. Referee playing the advantage. It was lost ahead by New Zealand. Again, a loose line-out throw. And some creaks appearing in this New Zealand side. 10 from halfway. Stephen Larkham with a cutout to Mortlock. It's Aaron Major underneath him. And Sharp. Charging into Mialamu. Here comes Larkham and Saylor. Chris Jack was there. Somerville almost pinched it.
Stand up, stand up. The first thing is let's make sure that tackle stays low. We scrum down attack ball. Think about it.
And it's still an Australian scrum feed.
Well, good work there from number 1 for the Wallabies, Bill Young. Saw there was an opportunity for the All Blacks to pick up the ball at the back of the ruck. Wendell Saylor got turned. Greg Somerville turned there. Mialamu coming in looking for the ball.
Great work by Somerville. They had the tackler below. What he does is try and goes after the ball to isolate it.
So here's David Lyons and Saylor. Richie McCaw was waiting and he's pinched it. But still coming back Australia's way. Larkham and Smith. Almost through the tackle. Desperate work by Ali Williams. Rogers out wide. Still Australia's side of halfway. This is Cannon. And now it's into New Zealand territory. Flatley wants it. It's a bad pass.
And you can see what's happening with the Wallabies. You can see their intentions to move the ball wide. Go same way, and then spread it wide. Brennan Cannon, great charge up the middle of the ruck. But the ball sometimes is coming too quick for the Wallabies.
You were talking, Tim, about the quick phase ball. Australia have got to keep that going if they want to keep putting pressure on the New Zealanders. If they have quick phase ball, they don't give them time to realign.
So now it's Major. Inside Smith. Harrison came at him.
Well, number 4 for Australia, Justin Harrison. Didn't he do well to get out of that midfield scrum in the second row and come across some cover defence and force the turnover?
Australia leading New Zealand through that Sterling Mortlock try. It was converted 7-0.
New Zealand pulling it in and trying to discuss what their next plan is.
Treatment there for Richie McCaw. Still very muggy conditions, and we're just outside the Australian 22.
The scrum's gone down. They're going to repack. What New Zealand want to do here is try and bring the scrum up on their left-hand side so it gets their breakaway closer to Stephen Larkham. Australia will try and stop it happening.
Easy, lads, easy. Calm. Hang on, boys. Hold it and engage. Hang on, lads. I want some
Major
blood
problems
here.
in the scrum.
Blood, please. Goal.
Well, Ben Darwin is trying to get it as low as possible on his side so that stops them getting the opportunity to attack him and try and wheel up against his head. What he wants to do is try and get it nice and low, then get that power coming back through him, and then so he can actually push it up on the right-hand side for the Australian scrum to give them that head start.
Well, straight away you saw there George Gregan pulling his players in, talking to them straight away after this break in play.
No bind on the body there by Bill Young as the scrum came down. So it was a very untidy engagement. You must keep your head above the level of the hips.
Hang on, boys.
Yes, you can't bend the back. If you want to go lower, you've got to bend the knees and get the whole body down lower. Good scrum, Australia.
Excellent work there by Bill Young. This is Takiri from the left wing. Major was underneath him. Phil Waugh. Now Gregan. Referee said offside New Zealand. Here's Waugh. So the referee is very strict on this ruck area. if he feels the ruck is formed or the tackle's there, there's still an offside line. And the Australians doing some good refereeing themselves here.
Well, here we see Richie McCaw made the tackle but got up and didn't clear the ruck. He gets in the way of George Gregan here, and that's why the penalty came Australia's way.
It was touch and go. It was a funny old ruck if it was formed, but the ball is bouncing Australia's way. From the intercept to the mistakes by the Kiwis, and Australia on the 22.
Well, we spoke earlier about pressure on the New Zealanders and the expectations they've got to go through. They've been playing at a great standard, but they're getting rattled at the moment.
That was Harrison at the front, back to Cannon. And Sharp. Australia really bearing their ball runners. A lot of variety. And New Zealand come away through. Somerville.
Good work by Reuben Thorne there, ripping the ball away in the attack.
Spencer needing a bounce, but it goes Rogers' way. He's beaten two. Takiri! Lottie Takiri! Back it went there to Flatley. Larkham. Sharp's outside. And so too is Saylor. Saylor so hard to stop in this situation. Sharp now. The Wallabies calling for it out wide. Flatley. This is Mortlock. McCaw comes up to stop him 20 metres out, but they keep it alive through Rogers.
Well, the Wallabies got to have patience here. They're getting through the phases, putting the All Black defence under pressure.
New Zealand taking deep breaths at the moment. Stephen Larkham showing terrific vision out there. Collins. Ball and all tackle. Was it legal? Did he have the arms in there? Was it high? The referee will have a look and will speak to his touch judge.
Gee, Nathan Sharp. Watch him on the ground, blue headgear. Will he get up? He's a bit groggy. Let's hear what the referee's got to say.
This was brutal.
Your arm's going, because he's on the way down, that's why you're not on the way off. Okay, Carney, dangerous challenge. Dangerous challenge.
Shoulder into the head as he drove up. Dangerous tackle.
His shoulders, and as Collins has driven his shoulder, and it's actually clipped Nathan Sharp's shoulder and then risen up and gone straight into his head. But he's there at the moment. He's talking to the doctor and going, "Is that you, Mrs. McDonald, my first grade teacher?" He's in gaga.
Nathan Sharp then hoping to resume. It's Australia by 7-0, but a handy kick coming up for Elton Flatley. Matt Rogers beating a couple of tackles.
Didn't Takiri do well to go back inside and link up with his support runners?
And Larkham's pass here as well. Stephen Larkham shifting it out to Wendell Saylor, who has that ability to beat the first tackle almost every time he handles.
You can see what Australia's doing well now. They're controlling the ball, not letting New Zealand have their hands on the ball. They get through the phases, going wide, coming close, varying their set pieces of play, and not allowing the All Blacks to get their hands on the ball.
The relaxed crumpling of a wounded soldier here. We saw a similar tackle by Jerry Collins on Colin Jarvis, the Welsh skipper, over in New Zealand, and he didn't take any further part in the game, but Sharp is going to soldier on here, and David Giffen standing by. Perhaps we could see a replacement.
Well, a lot of the times in these sort of injuries, I'll try and find a little bit of blood on Nathan Sharp so he can go into the blood bin. You see the doctor's looking at him at the moment while Flatley lines up this kick.
They're looking inside his mouth, Tim.
Well, they'll find blood somewhere to try and get him off for 10 minutes and have a rest and recover.
Flatley loves them from this posse. And this will take Australia to double figures. Two out of two for Elton Flatley. The All Blacks are out of sorts. It's Australia in the driver's seat. 10-0.
Australia could not ask for a better start so far in this game. Everything they have touched has gone to gold. And the Blacks, they just can't seem to get their rhythm going at the moment. They can't get their hands on the ball. They've just been defending.
Isn't it pleasing to see the two wingers, two ex-rugby league players, Wendell Sailor and Lottie Takiri, have a lot of input early on in this match.
Brilliant work there by Harrison. And again a probing kick from Australia. Rokothoko to Muliaina. Howlett's coming back to support. Muliaina. It bounced inside the touchline. It was a very nasty one for Rogers, but it's a beautiful kick. And that's Justin Harrison. Well, we call him the elastic man after that take.
Well, Matt Rogers doing the right thing, not attempting to take the ball inside the sideline, allowing the Wallabies still to have the throw to the line out.
Harrison wanted it. And he's reigning supreme. Flatley. The Australians playing with a lot of confidence. A 10-point advantage on the scoreboard. Stephen Larkham. He's back to his very best tonight, causing all sorts of problems for the All Black defence. George is even pointing out the offenders for the referee.
He can't help himself. It's that bloke there and that bloke there. But what Australia are doing is they're taking to the game line and they're getting the ball at speed, which is allowing people like Larkham to start coming back into their element.
Well, they're trying to attack at Liam McDonald. I think they've picked him out as a weakness in the All Black defence out wide, and they're moving the ball to his zone, his tackling zone. And also can confirm down here by the Wallaby management that Nathan Sharp has gone to the blood bin. So he'll be back just before half-time.
Thank you for that prognosis, Dr. Horan. David Giffen. So two great line-out jumpers, and it was Larkham almost through. New Zealand fully stretched here. Giffen again. You wouldn't believe this is the All Black side that has carried all before them. It's almost as though the two sides have swapped jumpers.
What New Zealand aren't doing at the moment is getting up off the line with such speed that they're used to doing. And they're allowing Australia to run.
Just caught there by Hewitt. Now there's some gaps appearing in midfield. Cannon just pushing off All Black defenders. 10 metres out. Mortlock, Australia in the 7th phase. Rogers is out here, so too Darwin. And it's pinched by Marshall.
No one home for the Wallabies, just Flatley on his own.
And Howlett coming through. Brilliant skill there from Doug Howlett. And Flatley did extremely well.
Gee, that's smart thinking, Elton Flatley. Turnover by the Wallabies. Justin Marshall putting the ball downfield. Ben Darwin. There we see Justin Marshall going high, ripping the ball out, realising no one was home for the Wallabies, and Flatley, a little bit of a pivot just to make sure he's out, but he knew he had no support with him.
Matt Rogers distressed. Dr. Martin Raftery. Australia 10-0. Rogers will have to go to the blood bin.
That's fine where you are.
Rogers with blood all over his face. Here's Muliaina out wide. But Australia have a lot of cover. Phil Waugh was there, so was Flatley. He seems to be posted out wide to add support.
Right, hang on, come here.
Another New Zealand player on the ground.
Considerable bit better next time, do you understand? A late challenge, a late challenge.
It's a penalty if it's a late challenge.
But what the referee did do was actually give him the benefit of the doubt, saying it was a late challenge, but it might have been a case of whereby you couldn't pull out. I'm going to give the penalty, but you're not doing 10 minutes in the bin. But Marshall looks distressed.
Justin Marshall was a godsend there for New Zealand down on the on the line, pinching that ball from Ben Darwin. And he was certainly taken out late after he'd passed it.
Also, there's movement on the Australian bench. Joe Roth looks like he's coming on for Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers going to the blood bin, and Joe Roth back to his favourite position of fullback. He'll replace Rogers. And Joe Roth comes on for his 82nd Test match.
Geez, Tim, it's not a bad replacement. You've played a few games with Roth. He'd be fired up to stay on there.
He is. I spoke to him during the week. Very relaxed character, Joe Roth. But Matty Rogers has got himself involved early tonight. But Roffey, coming off the bench last weekend, probably played his best 20 or 30 minutes for the Wallabies this year.
Matt Rogers also very fired up to stay on the field. But Justin Marshall, who was dropped for the World Cup semi-final in 1999 against the French, is up and okay.
Well, Marshall has got to keep his composure. He knows he was late hit. The penalty was given. They're hot on attack. But as he's got up there, he's just mouthing off at George Smith there, giving him an absolute gobful. He's got to keep composed. He's the old head of this back line.
Well, Justin Marshall, he was the player when the All Blacks were in trouble against Wales. He was the player who stood up. He was the player who took it forward, and he's key for the All Blacks tonight.
12 minutes before half-time. New Zealand have struggled for continuity. Their first half performance riddled with errors, but they have a chance to consolidate here. Referee was playing advantage. Marshall elected to go for a half-hearted drop goal attempt.
Well, it's crucial for the Wallabies not to give away those little silly penalties. Ricky Stewart, who presented the jerseys before the game, spoken about trusting each other, have faith in each other next to the player next to you.
Bottom line for New Zealand is they have to get some points on the board. It's Australia 10-0. Bill Young wrestling away with Mialamu. Leon McDonald had never kicked in a test match until this World Cup. He's kicked 24 from 31 so far. Shaving the outside of the post. Nothing going right for New Zealand. I guess the fans across the Tasman are saying, where's Andrew Mertens?
Well, if he hasn't kicked in a test match beforehand, the way he's going at the moment, he may not kick again in another test. We see Sharp back on.
Well, what the Wallabies are doing are not allowing New Zealand to get into their rhythm. They're moving up in defence and putting them under pressure.
Muliaina linking up here with McCaw. Just short of the halfway line. New Zealand go left for Major, but they're just running out of ideas at the moment, I think. Roth now with a chance to send this one back over halfway, and it came off the side of his boot. Can Spencer inject some magic? Coming down on Australia's side of halfway, Takiri! How good was that? 38 metres out from the All Black goal line. He was isolated. Marshall now quickly. New Zealand creating space out wide. Reuben Thorne. Australia waiting for that quick breakout. Lost ahead. Offside, says George Gregan. Referee says it was accidental. We'll have a scrum.
Oh, great work again by Sterling Morlock. He's read the play. He's come off the defensive line in early and put in the big hit and caused the turnover. Good work.
What about this take from Lottie Takiri? You won't get any better than that.
Well, I think the Aussie rules fans all around the country would have been up in their armchairs with Big Lottie that time. David Lyons to Gregan. Here's Mortlock. Straight through. Fullback to beat Muliaina. 15 metres out. All Blacks in disarray here. Sailor. Cannon backs himself with a huge overlap out wide. It's still there. and it's eventually been lost, but offside.
Oh, the try was begging for the Wallabies.
Offside, number 1.
The run, the angle that Mortlock hit came back against the drift defence, slipped the tackle of Marshall, came to the fullback Muliaina, and Wallabies clean out. A win again with Sala, and the pass by George Gregan going across the top of George Smith, who was put under pressure. But the Wallabies, they're pumped.
And Tim, down on the sideline, you always know if a team's going well. How's that talk going with the Australians compared to the New Zealanders?
Well, you can really hear the talking that the Australians are doing. George Gregan really pumped up for tonight. New Zealand, they've gone a little bit quiet in the last 5 or 10 minutes, but Australia are making their own luck, which is important in a test match.
A straight free rugby from the Australians, and this for a 13-0 lead. He could blow this one over. Elton Flatley gets his second penalty goal. He has 3 out of 3 with his goal-kicking boots. 13-0.
Well, look at the face of Eddie Jones. He just shows so much emotion, doesn't he? It gets written all over him like a stone. He's like a stone because he knows this game's got so much to go and never write the All Blacks off.
A galling moment for New Zealand in the 10th minute with Mortlock's devastating intercepts. New Zealand was set to score. It was a 14-point turnaround, and now Australia has a 13-point lead.
And this is the crucial time. 6 minutes out from half-time, Australia up by 13 points. Can't afford New Zealand to put points on the board.
The Australians are playing referee Chris White extremely well too.
And Matt Rogers coming back on the field after the blood bin. Joe Roth coming off.
Matt Rogers has won a Rugby League World Cup medal, and that medal was buried with his late mum Carol. Lost by New Zealand at the line-outs.
Great work by Justin Harrison.
And Mortlock going underneath the high shot there from Jerry Collins. George Smith. Australian players have just dissected this New Zealand defence. They've worked the ball around, but loose work there. Overlap New Zealand. Here comes Rokotoko out wide. Spencer running away from support. They can still do it. And there it is for New Zealand. A simple turnover by Australia, and the skipper, Reuben Thorne, hits back for the Blacks.
Well, when the going gets tough, you need the captain to lead from the front. Larkham didn't have anybody to throw it to. He thought he'd go himself. The ball's been coughed up forward by the big hit. And New Zealand, as always, on turnover ball, are threatening. We thought it may be a case of whereby Carlos Spencer might have slaughtered the try, but great interlinking.
Absolutely brilliant play, Tim Horan, from Carlos Spencer here.
Well, we all thought Carlos Spencer would go wide to Rokotoko, but he came back against Australia's drift defence. Unbelievable try by the All Blacks, and they hurt you when you think you're up.
That's the beauty of Carlos Spencer. He reads what's in front of him. Absolutely instinctive, spontaneous play there from their fly half. Can McDonald convert? 6 points the difference at Telstra Stadium.
Reuben Thorne, just ever present like a good back rower is, sitting off the shoulder of his number 10. He reaps the rewards. Has this got the tail back up and the wind in the sail of the All Blacks?
Inspirational skipper's try from Reuben Thorne in his 40th Test match. The former Taranaki cabinet maker has put the All Blacks on the board. Taken down by McDonald. Didn't hold on to the ball. Coming Australia's way. Mistake there by New Zealand's number 13. Nathan Sharp, who's been scouting out wide. A couple of passes out from the ruck. And Rogers and Sailor. Rogers again on the loop. And he went without it.
Thank you, Andre.
Well, once again, the Wallabies going wide. Attacking in that 13 channel again. And Sailor tries to get past Rokothoko. Slips a lovely ball. Matty Rogers just couldn't hold on. Can't afford those mistakes.
Hang on, John, nice and straight. No penalties. Crouched. I'm going to crouch as well.
In this scrum here, Australia will want to try and bring it up on the left-hand side, on the side you see here, so it gives Phil Waugh a shot. You can see his blonde hair there looking up.
Carlos Spencer, a tester here for Sailor, just short of halfway. Rogers, Takiri's outside. Through the first tackle. Taken by Somerville, Mortlock. Wreaking havoc in this New Zealand defence. Smith, Flatley. Gregan wants it on the right. Sharp's out here. Referee said it was thrown forward there by the Aussie skipper. The call came from Andre Watson. Wasted Australia.
Australia are trying too much at the moment. The forward pass, Sterling Mortlock, isn't he just causing havoc? He's busting the first and second tackle every time he's getting a ball. But Australia's trying to push too much, George. Wouldn't be what you'd call one of his better passes. It's a sixth handling error by the Wallabies. Good effort so far in this half. But they need to come away with points when they get down where they are.
Just 2 minutes out from half-time. Australia running up that 13-0 lead. New Zealand hitting back late in the championship period. It's been an eventful first half, but for 35 minutes, all gold.
And there's still time left for both teams. A minute or so left before half-time. The All Blacks, they'd be pretty happy going to the dressing shed. Only down by 6 points. They haven't had a lot of possession.
A minute and a half before half-time, Australia have got to really put it on him in this scrum. Phil Young's got to really bring it up his side, as he does.
New Zealand scrum stays square and low. They held their ground. Major charging into the defence. Marshall now, and Spencer. Marshall, and that's big Chris Jack. Just a hit of a forward pass there from Marshall as he turned the ball inside from the crowd in line. George Smith coming in on the side. Referee Chris White is very severe on that facet of the breakdown. Anyone who comes in the side of the tackle, you're gone.
And that's what the All Blacks have been trying to do now, get into their patterns of play. They attacked close early at Flatley, then they went second and third phase. George Smith has to stay behind the last feet at a ruck. But the All Blacks, they want to control the ball now. Spencer talking to his players. He wants to get some points on the board before half-time.
Belated chance here for New Zealand to sneak a few more points after they were down for the count at 13-0. David Giffen is coming on here for Nathan Sharp. David Giffen, the Australian vice-captain, who was injured in the first game, hurt his AC joint, then had a quadricep injury. Nathan Sharp, with that heavy knock from Jerry Collins, will take no further part in the game. Mialamu makes another mistake with his line-out throwing.
That is a crucial blow to New Zealand. Hot on the attack, the throw not straight. The hooker must do it every occasion. There is no excuse for a crooked throw.
So 3 mistakes from New Zealand on their line-out throw.
Australia will be very keen to get this into touch.
And Rogers does just that. Wallabies in the ascendancy at half-time in World Cup semi-final number 1. The crowd are up. They're giving them a standing ovation. It's 13-7 to the men in goal.
It is a magnificent semi-final. Australia playing like the defending world champions. We'll be back in a moment. It's the biggest 40 minutes for George Gregan and his Wallabies, and of course for Reuben Thorne and his All Blacks. It's 13-7, 6 points at half-time. How do you predict what's going to happen in the next 40 minutes?
Well, you've got to think the Aussies are going to be doing exactly the same thing. They're going to be keeping the ball in hand, trying to keep away from the New Zealanders, but the All Blacks needed that try. They needed to be 13-7. Will it give them a bit of momentum, or will the Australians? I just wonder if they can sustain it, but really the All Blacks haven't looked like the side they've been in the tournament because the Australians are making them look bad, making them miss tackles, keeping the ball in hand, and you've got to wonder if they can sustain it, and if they can, they've won this game.
They need a big contribution from the big boys. McCaw has been magnificent.
Oh, it would be 28-7 if it wasn't for Richie McCaw. He's made 3 try-saving tackles, but now you've got to hope Jerry Collins, Justin Marshall and Carlos Spencer step it up now.
Okay, sit back. Star Sports live and exclusive coverage of Rugby World Cup. We're in the Telstra Stadium. Let's go back to Tim Horan, Dan Crowley and Gordon Bray.
The All Blacks are too good a side not to fight back in this last 40 minutes.
Dan Crowley, All Black tactics in this second 40.
Get your hands on the ball to start with, and then just start playing the pattern of play that they're used to. They do that, they're dangerous.
Englishman Chris White in charge, and again some variation from the Australians. Has to go 10 metres. Takiri was there, lost ahead by War. Referee said no, it went sideways. So Mortlock, he has caused huge headaches for the New Zealand defence. Good start for Australia here as Lions charges ahead. Larkham wants it. They're a bit skinny here, New Zealand. Here's Mortlock again. Defending grimly there. Richie McCaw. Takiri. Proving very slippery. 10 metres out. Gregan now for Larkham. Flatley. That's Justin Harrison. Jerry Collins over the top. Hand in the rug. The tackler, Jerry Collins, did not roll away.
Well, you can't fight what the referee's saying there. Richie McCaw underneath. Jerry Collins, big hit over the top, but while he's lying on the ground.
But what about the lead-up work from Mortlock and Stephen Larkham going back the blind side? As we see the reason for the penalty. Hands in the ruck, number 8, Jerry Collins. But the Wallabies keeping their hands on the ball and denying the All Blacks the ball, and it's frustrating the All Blacks. The All Blacks moving up in defence, but they're a side that need to play with the ball. Rokothoko, we haven't seen him yet tonight. Muliaina.
Ill discipline there from the New Zealand number 8. The referee, it was under his nose and Collins effected the tackle, and then he has to roll away. He stayed put. So again, Flatley gets another one from point blank range. This for a 9-point Wallaby lead. Flatley's third penalty goal, and it's a positive start for the Wallabies at Telstra Stadium in the second half.
English Premier League next Saturday, Southampton against Chelsea, 10:25 Hong Kong time, live on ESPN.
That's what Australia have to do. If they get down into the New Zealand half, they must come away with points.
David Lyons underneath inside the quarter. Saylor was the decoy. Flatley's outside here for Larkham. Just again ghosting through as he does so beautifully. Richie McCaw came through to spoil. New Zealand are forced to turn over. This is Major. Plenty of All Blacks out here. Carlos Spencer and Somerville. Now the Wallabies have to dig deep. 10 metres out. Marshall goes in. This is Williams. Back for Marshall. Mialamu. This powerhouse hooker for New Zealand. War is there for Australia. 15 metres out in front of the goalpost here. McCaw. Almost an intercept. Larkham read it beautifully. And that was McDonald. Still coming New Zealand's way. Spencer and Major. Going nowhere.
Brennan Cannon, great hit.
3 Australian tacklers. Now Collins. Very powerful.
Australia getting off the line in defence and getting in the face of New Zealand. They're not giving them time, like this man here, Mirilamu, trying to get ahead of steam. They're in their face. New Zealand need to get some space at the moment, and Australia are not giving it to them.
McCaw goes to ground. New Zealand just protecting the ball, trying to generate something here, but Australia's defence not giving them a centimetre. Spencer again. Back to Major. Spencer first receiver here on the right, and that's Williams. 10 phases now for New Zealand. They're showing a lot of patience. And Bill Young came through. New Zealand didn't want to pick that one up, and Rogers will. Over Rokothoko's head. Mistake from the number 11. And didn't the crowd here enjoy it?
Well, putting the ball in behind the wingers. Australia haven't kicked a lot tonight. Muliaina hasn't had his hands on the ball as much as he would have liked. Didn't have his hands on the ball there either.
Well, give that to Australia on the ropes, but give that to Bill Young, the big number 1. The ball's gone loose and he's pounced on it like a seagull onto a hot chip.
You could hear the cheer at the Concord Hotel. He is mine host there with his father. It's 16-7 Australia.
Good to go.
There you can see the think tank, Carlos Spencer.
Nearly 5 minutes gone in this second half. The crowd is taking over at Telstra Stadium. The All Blacks currently with a big task in front, but we know what a class outfit they are. They're just being deprived by this Wallaby team. Here's Larkham again. Sailor! McCaw got him. He was the tackler and he pitched the ball. That is brilliant play by Richie McCaw. New Zealand charge ahead, and Rogers in the last line. Howlett coming through. It was kicked over the goal line by New Zealand, so it's back to the 22 for a restart.
Richie McCall having a whale of a game. Exactly right, the referee there. He was the tackler. He's taken the legs out from Wendell Sailor. He's then got to his feet. He's allowed to then play the ball. Good work.
The tackler's the only person in that breakdown situation who has that right. So although he was on the side of the tackle, because he was the tackler, he was allowed to do it. Howlett then, and Collins. George Smith was waiting for him with David Lyons. Spencer and Howlett. Stepped nicely off his left foot. Phil Waugh comes in. Almost stole it for Australia. Mialamo was there to save the day. Marshall on halfway. Big Chris Jack. Spencer again. Throwing a little dummy, but not fooling the Australian defence.
Well, Spencer knows the All Blacks need to keep building on their continuity. That's the 6th phase now.
But New Zealand just going one out and proving easy pickings for this Wallaby defence at the moment.
And because Australia are being aggressive in the tackle again, 3 men in the tackle, they're slowing the ball down. They're not getting quick phase ballers, which Carlos Spencer lives and breathes on.
Brendan Cannon coming in low and hard. Reuben Thorne, the skipper, trying to marshal his troops. Marshall. This is Rokotoko and Muliaina. Muliaina with the clean out. Williams spotted a half gap just outside the 22. 13th phase for New Zealand. Mialamu. Just determination from the Wallabies, who are very well organised. Jack, Marshall, Somerville. Pressure of the Australian defence again tells.
Well, the Wallabies moving up off their line in defence, on their toes. The All Blacks creating 14 phases and moving about 20 or 30 metres, and Justin Marshall just knocks the ball on there as Sterling Mortlock comes over the top and makes a wonderful tackle.
And tactical replacements start coming early in the second half. Big Case Muse takes over from Dave Hewitt, the scrumming machine that he is, and a telling time straight into scrum time.
Hughes brings more mobility to the New Zealand forward pack, and looks as though Justin Marshall's departing, and Byron Kelleher, who was selected ahead of Marshall for the World Cup semi-final in '99.
This is a telling time for Australia, because if there's anybody who is an Achilles heel to George Gregan, it is Byron Kelleher. He is doggedly determined.
Hang on, gentlemen, there's no second rows. Stretch and hold, engage.
This is Kelleher's first time on the field at this Rugby World Cup.
Far side, gentlemen, slowly up, boys. Slowly up. I'm coming have a look.
Marshall was hit hard in the ribs by George Smith on a late shot, and he won't be taking any further part.
You hear the referee calling hold there, and then he calls the engage. You're not allowed to pack. It's a penalty if you don't. Big push by Case Muse. Instant pressure. Instant results.
Collins, Jack, goal line ahead, just 10 metres away. Loose pass from Kelleher, picked up by Major. New Zealand almost to the goal line. Williams arrives. Is it a collapse ball?
No, it was taken in. A maul was formed. It's a goal ball.
If you take it in the maul situation where the ball is up off the ground and you don't get it out of that maul, the feed is handed over to the opposition team. Huge relief there for Australia.
A big push by New Zealand, that scrum, but there's an injury has been occurred. It looks like it might be to one of the Australian front rowers. We can't see exactly who it is. But Al Baxter warming up on the sideline.
Good scrambling defence by the Wallabies. They had to make the tackles. They had to move up after the turnover. And the two captains on the ground have a chat.
Aaron Major looking distressed, and Jeremy Paul on the pitch for Brendan Cannon. Australia leading by 16-7. And a lot of concern on the far side as Cannon departs. It's one of the Wallaby players here.
I'm not too sure. I'm seeing who it is. I think it might be Ben Darwin, who's gone down. Who's been caught in an awkward position when that scrum wheel turn and collapsed to the ground. But he's in excellent shape with the medical staff.
Ben Darwin, who's been such a rock since coming back into the World Cup campaign. And we're going to have a short delay while Darwin is placed on the stretcher. Al Baxter preparing to come onto the field. Australia 16, New Zealand 7. It's a 9-point advantage. Ended the campaign for Ben Darwin as Al Baxter is on the field here for Australia. His 6th Test match.
Case Muse, the referee has said he's packed straight and then he's tried to angle in, trying to wheel the scrum around before the ball had actually been fed.
You've got an old hand there in Case Muse against a rookie in Al Baxter, but the referees are very hard on the loose head prop of the non-feeding team. And some help here from the touch judge.
You can actually see where the backside pointing around here of Case Mews as he's tried to wheel his way around and try and put pressure into the side of the scrum.
Jeremy Paul throwing in just outside the 22. Nearly 10 minutes gone in this second half. Larkham then with Saylor joining up, and McCaw, who's pulled off so many low tackles in midfield. This interpretation has caused major problems for New Zealand. McCaw was the tackler. He's allowed to get up. The referee set a rucket form. In other words, one player from either side. And I don't think there was a ruck because McCaw got to his feet. He was the tackler. He was entitled to pick the ball up.
It's a matter of inches. I think he's got a copped up very harsh decision there.
It all happened so quickly for the referee that Richie McCaw, looks as though he got a dud one.
Geez, isn't he having a whale of a game? He's my pick so far for the best player in the forward pack for New Zealand.
Australia gain another 35 metres as a result, and Harrison got it. Larkham, Mortlock, they held off him, but again McCaw was there. Gregan. David Lyons just edging a few metres ahead. Now to Keary, nowhere to go, but excellent leg drive. Larkham calls for it. This is Flatley, McCaw and Thorne. Good clean out from the Australians. Larkham delaying his decision. Rokothoko back, but Larkham frustrated.
Well, Steve Larkham obviously disappointed with that kick. Australia were building pressure again, but the All Blacks held on. The All Blacks defence in the last 5 minutes has been outstanding. And the All Blacks get the ball again.
You can't blame him for kicking that. The person standing in front of him was Jerry Collins. I wouldn't be wanting to run at him either.
Midway 22 and halfway, New Zealand territory. Mialamu comes up with a poor throw straight to an opponent.
Justin Harrison is ruling the roost in the middle of that line out. He's having a great one.
Jeremy Paul at the back here, number 16. Here's Larkham again, charging! Fullback to beat! Jeremy Paul in support. Mialamu got him from behind. Gregan with quick ball. It's 4 on 3. Mortlock. Rogers comes in. It's against Aaron Major.
Well, the Wallabies go wide, and Stephen Larkham, look at him just slice through that space. Spencer drifted off him, and then Jeremy Paul in support. And once again, the Wallabies were patient. Gregan, they're getting quick ball, the Wallabies, and they're getting in behind the All Black defence. And there you can see, I think it was number 12 for the All Blacks, Aaron Major, hands in the ruck.
A crucial kick coming up here for Australia. It's 16-7.
Well, again, Australia have got themselves down into a position, and they're looking at coming away with points. If Elton Flatley can put this away, that's all they are after.
It's important to see that Stephen Larkham is now mixing his game up, putting a few little kicks in behind the All Black defence, and also, instead of going wide, using Saylor close and himself. And the All Black backline defence aren't sure where the Wallabies are going to attack next.
It's been grand defence from New Zealand, but they've really had to scramble as the Wallabies have kept them guessing. 17 metres in from the far touch. Very handy position again here for Flatley, looking for his 4th penalty and a 12-point advantage for his side. Crowd was up early. Australia by 19-7 in semi-final number 1.
Well, again, New Zealand, what they've got to do is get their hands on the ball and then keep it and stop making silly mistakes. First we saw Case Mews give away a penalty close on attack. It takes the pressure off, and then again, when they're hard on defence, they give more penalties away. It's 3 points here, 3 points there. They are letting this game slip.
One of the crucial areas for New Zealand, the area that has frustrated them, is the breakdown, and they've committed a lot of errors there. Players coming in on the side once the ruck is formed. And you've got to say that Australia, with their technical referee advisor Wayne Erickson, have stolen a march on New Zealand, who don't have a referee technical advisor.
Well, the All Blacks, for mine, they have to go wide. They have to play to their strengths. In the last 6 months, the All Blacks have been playing with some width and stretching the opposition defensive patterns. They've got to use their powerful runners, Howlett, Muliaina and Rokethoko. Spread the ball wide and get the ball to them.
That's Chris Jack at the front.
And smart play by New Zealand. Keep the ball away from Justin Harrison.
25 minutes remaining in this game. The referee's playing advantage for New Zealand. There was an offside Australian player who became detached and then rejoined the maul on the side. This is Ali Williams. He's still playing advantage. Now inside Australia's half. Howlett, 3 men outside. Rokethoko wearing number 17, skirting the touchline. New Zealand looking dangerous. Another advantage. Mialamu wrapped up by George Smith.
Well, Australia have got to stay composed. New Zealand are going to go for the try. They've got the advantage. They know they'll get the points. They want to stretch the defence.
19-7 Australia. They're leading by 12. This is Case Muse. And this is going to be a gift penalty.
Number 18 is offside. Here's your mark.
Ali Williams is right out on that wing. You can't see him on the right, calling for the ball.
And for about the second time in the game, the All Blacks go wide to Rokethoko. Tiptoes down the touchline and stays infield. But the Wallabies are up to it. Good defence. But these three players, Rokethoko there, Howlett and Muliaina, they need to get their hands on the ball. They're their key weapons for the All Blacks, but they haven't had a lot to do tonight.
Desperately needed points here for New Zealand. Leon McDonald. This should be a formality. Just caresses. And it's 19-10. So it's a 9-point difference. But Australia certainly in control. Calling the shots here at Telstra Stadium. New Zealand playing catch-up over the last quarter of the game.
And another tactical replacement by New Zealand with big Brad Thord coming on. He'll lift them. Tim, he's known to be able to put in the big hits and the big runs.
And he's played very well through this tournament. Started the first couple of games for the All Blacks, and now he's got just over 20 minutes to show what he can do for his country.
It could be the benches that decide the ultimate outcome. Little mistake there by McDonald. Wasn't able to hold on to the ball cleanly. He tried to pick it up off a teammate. But Byron Kelleher with a steadying kick. And that just takes a bit of heat off New Zealand. Again, lack of communication from the All Blacks. Little knock on by Australia.
And that's the little things that are happening with New Zealand. You just haven't seen those things happening throughout this tournament.
David Lyons winning at the front of the line out. Flatley runs wide. Here's Mortlock. Just caught by the shoelace. Quick ball for Gregan and Takiri. Wriggled through the first tackle of McDonald, who's having a pretty torrid night in defence. Now Sailor backs himself. 35 metres out from the All Black goal line. Australia just keeping cool in that situation. Jeremy Paul eventually picks it up.
Australia have just got to keep probing and probing.
Larkham did that, but he was thrown to ground like a rag doll. Flatley working to Jerry Paul. Still 30 metres out. Fired out by Gregan. And now Sailor. Good ball security from Wendell Sailor. Couple of big forwards out here for New Zealand, but they're all forwards out there for Australia as well. Now Larkham. Here's Flatley. Driven ahead by Jeremy Paul, just outside the 22, 12th phase.
And Australia have just got to look to try and make sure that the All Blacks make a mistake. They've got to look for the hole, they've got to look for the penalty. But it's a torrid time in that breakdown. They're not going to give it to him easily. And here comes Wendell Sailor.
Again, just caught there by Kelleher. Now Takiri taking on the forwards.
Advantage to Australia. Brad Thorne offside.
Well, it's going to be another possible three-pointer out in front. Gregan goes for a drop goal. It's out to the left, no advantage. And Australia with another penalty attempt coming up here, which would put them back to that 12-point margin.
That's what they were looking for. They were looking for the break, the chink in the armour, and Brad Thorne, new man on the field, he gave it to them.
Australia ahead by 19 to 10 here at Telstra Stadium.
Well, Australia kept probing and probing. Lottie Takiri takes that ball. Isn't he fantastic on his feet? Just does the little shimmy, comes back inside, looking for the gap.
Tantalising situation here for the Australian team. Tim Horan, Sterling Mortlock down for attention.
Well, that's the man.
Mortlock out in front with a shot that should go through. Flatley, I should say.
Well, Sterling Mortlock hasn't to be great off first phase ball. When it's first phase ball, meaning off a scrum or off a line out, and he's been breaking the defensive pattern of the All Blacks and getting in behind them, and then Australia's recycling with quick ball, and that's been the key for the Wallabies tonight.
Elton Flatley with a 82% success rate in this World Cup. And he just slots it with consummate ease. So a 12-point advantage. New Zealand has won the last quarter of every World Cup match so far in 2003, but Australia since the 1999 Rugby World Cup has played 43 tests. They've led in 22 at half-time and won all 22.
And also, Gordon, no defending champion has ever won a Rugby World Cup semi-final.
David Giffen couldn't pull that one down. We are inside the final quarter.
Okay, that's the first offence. There's a knock-on by Gold in the line-out, taking the ball in the line-up.
This has been New Zealand's territory in this World Cup, but Australia has a 12-point lead.
Well, David Giffen hoisted up high, but a New Zealand hand just getting in between, in the way. Australia here want to try and bring the scrum up on their left-hand side. But in doing that, there's a big blind, and it could expose a run down the blind side by Byron Kelleher.
Well, all of the All Blacks backs are aligned out to the right-hand side.
It's a good chance for New Zealand to attack here. And they're sandwiched in midfield. Ball not coming too quickly. Here's Reuben Thorne. Sailor, the tackler, over the top. Kelleher again. Muliaina and Rokotho go. Australia's defence has swarmed all over New Zealand. Now Mialamu. The All Blacks have to score a try here. This is Chris Jack.
Well, where's Carlos Spencer? He has to boss himself to get into first receiver.
Case Muse. Again, they're just trying to do it one out. Regan slams his opposite to ground. Doug Howlett goes in. Good hands from Mialamu. Now he can offload to Richie McCaw. Baxter stayed with him. 18 metres out. New Zealand with their chance here. Spencer to Howlett. Copybook tackle there by Elton Flatley.
And look at the Australian players coming over there, slapping him on the back, giving him that encouragement.
But Howlett just ran across field, invited the Wallabies to take him, and Flatley took the invitation and took him across the sideline as Wendell Sailor pats him on the head and says, "Well done, Flats."
Flatley has been parked out wide as an extra defender in this game. and he's got through a mountain of work against the Smead merchants from New Zealand. And Nathan Gray looks as though he's going to come on, and a blood bin here for Flatley. Let's see if Flatley can remain. Nathan Gray's ready to come. So a few stitches needed. They're going to run off the field because Flatley's the ace goal kicker. He's kicked 6 from 6 tonight.
Pulling down from the top of the jump there, on the back of his collar.
You can't interfere with the man in the air. Mistake by New Zealand. Utter frustration for the men in black. 22-10.
David Giffen, one-handed take. Look at him stretch as high as he can. Comes down, but the All Black pack tagging his jersey, pulling him down the line out.
Yeah, Chris Jack would be filthy at himself. That is simple stuff that they cannot. If they want to win this game, they want to stay in touch in this game and keep the pressure on the Wallabies. They can't make those simple mistakes and let the pressure off.
Well, with the time now, just over 15 minutes left in this match, Carlos Spencer, he'll be thinking to himself, we have to attack, we have to go wide, need to get our hands on the ball to attack the Wallabies.
And Australia pinches another line out, but lost it ahead after taking it down. New Zealand desperate for this 5-pointer. They're trailing by 12. 15 minutes to go in the game. This is Muliaina, and again a glorious low tackle by the Australians. That was Nathan Gray. The defence has just been too good for New Zealand tonight. Australia's conceded only 5 tries in this tournament, which is the best defensive record of all nations.
Well, what's the Wallabies here? They're not getting overcommitted to the ruck. They're spreading across the field. Mialamu takes it forward. Only 2 Wallabies in the ruck.
Kelleher goes in. Now McCaw. Rokothoko on the insides. And alert work there by Phil Waugh to bring him to ground. Spencer again to Collins. Straight into George Smith, but 3 Wallaby defenders there. 10th phase for New Zealand. Spencer now. Bad pass. It's not happening for New Zealand.
Well, Carlos Spencer tried to pick out Justin Harrison. Tried to do the in and away, but the pass to Ryan Major went to ground, and Spencer out of his comfort zone.
Well, that's what happens when they start looking at pressure. You spoke about Carlos, what's going through his mind. He's saying, I've got to do something special. It's up to me to try and spark this up. And if you do that, it causes problems. It causes mistakes.
Well, the big thing about Carlos Spencer in this tournament, he's had the big smile on his face every game. And when that happens, you know you're in trouble. But he's yet to smile tonight. He's under pressure, and he knows the All Blacks are 15 minutes away from being knocked out of this World Cup. But there's still a lot of time left for him.
And you spoke before about getting that ball wide. If they can get some phases together, New Zealand, they are deadly, and they can whack on points in quick time.
The Wallabies have dug in defence. And David Giffen again with a superb leap. Stephen Larkham takes on the defensive line just outside the quarter. Now Gregan back for Rogers. And a huge slice of territory again, taking play to the halfway line.
Well, once again, the Australian side asking questions of the All Black defence behind their 22 to allow their kicker, Matty Rogers, to get a better tactical kick away, a better position for his kick as Nathan Gray leaves. And on comes Elton Flatley back from the blood bin.
What Australia is doing well at the moment is what Rogers just did then. The simple stuff. He kicked the ball, he made sure it went out. During the pool rounds, they were making mistakes. They weren't putting those types of kicks out.
Well, I think they've learned from the last couple of times they've played the All Blacks, not making touch and giving the ball to the lethal back 3 of the All Blacks. It's not happening tonight.
Taken down by Brad Thorne. 13 minutes remaining. Spencer then to Collins. All too predictable, but halfway line. Major linking up with Muliaina. There are plenty of Australians out there waiting.
David Giffen, great tackle. Look at the patch on the head by the Wallabies. He's come off the bench, David Giffen. Big injury cloud over him before last week's game, and helped by captain George Gregan. And the body language of the Australian players, look at it. They want this win. They want to play next week, not next Thursday in the playoff, but they want next Saturday, the World Cup final.
New Zealand pinch the line out. Case Muse delivers expertly for Mialamu here. But the game is certainly not won yet. 12-point advantage, 13 minutes to go. A try for New Zealand can change it quite dramatically. But Australia's defence at the moment is just looking impregnable. Slow ball for New Zealand.
And that's the problem for New Zealand. They need quick ball.
Spencer calls for it. Howlett and Takiri. Rogers now. Stepped away from two. And then he was floored once he kicked the ball. This does not look good.
It wasn't that late, but it was late, okay? So that's the penalty, in 15 right now, and don't let it happen again.
No sin bin, but it's going to be a penalty here for New Zealand.
Well, Matt Rogers, he was in trouble.
Take your time.
Saw the player's left foot kick down the sideline. Reuben Thorne tried to pull out.
Yeah, Reuben Thorne, he's done the hit there. While he's in the air, it's actually made him look work. That's a great Hollywood by Matt Rogers. You could see actually when the physio came over to see he's all right. He's had a little bit of a look up going, yeah, how good was that? Didn't I look flash?
Well, Reuben Thorne, he was committed to the tackle, though. Very difficult to pull out in those situations.
Australia have got the penalty. They'll kick it down, put it in the touch and get the line out on attack. But Australia have lost the two of their last three line outs. It's something they need to fix up.
Well, the Wallabies, they have to keep attacking because the All Blacks are so lethal in attack, and they can put 14 points on the board within a couple of minutes. So the game's got a long way to go.
11 minutes remaining.
We need the clock back on. Okay.
That's an injury by the look of it to Case Muse. He's had chronic calf problems throughout his career. He's had about 6 or 7 calf tears and 3 or 4 operations on his calves. He looks like he's done it again, and they actually got to bring Dave Hewitt, who was replaced, back onto the field. That type of injury, that is the end of the tournament for Case Muse.
Wallabies running towards the scoreboard, which shows them emphatically ahead by 22-10. And David Giffen is sliding that one down. Gregan to Paul. But the Wallabies just controlling this match superbly at the moment. David Lyons sucking in 3 defenders. Good clean out again from the Wallaby forwards. This is Baxter. And those little errors keep New Zealand in the game.
Well, it was the pressure from the All Black defence, moving up on Wendell Sailor, cutting down his space. And with 10 minutes to go, the All Blacks, there we see the pressure. George Gregan, forward pass to El Baxter. And the All Blacks, perfect position in the field. Mulioina left-hand side with Rokothoko.
A good scrum by New Zealand.
Jerry Collins. George Smith has tackled every black jersey in sight. Knock on there by Hewitt.
Well, Dave Hewitt, he's just come onto the field. He wasn't ready to come on, he wasn't warmed up, and he's spilt that cold.
All Blacks looking even this far out, looking a beat inside at the moment. They're just struggling to find any inspiration at all.
And their coach, John Mitchell, he's done a marvellous job at this All Black side over the last couple of years, but this is the one they want.
Very solid Australian scrum. Larkham just grasped there by Spencer.
Even Spencer drifting off Larkham every time.
Jeremy Paul now. Skirting around the edge of the ruck. Harrison goes back and Smith has copped it up.
Back we come. Knocked on here.
But New Zealand now looking quite fatigued as well.
Well, the New Zealand side have got to get their continuity back. They're starting to push passes. But good defence here on Smith. Leon McDonald round the legs, forcing the turnover.
The All Blacks, as far as the scoreboard is concerned, have to score a try if they're to hold any chance of winning this game, and they have to do it very quickly. 9 minutes remaining.
Movement on the Australian bench. Matt Cobain looking to come on. Also Joe Roth. Matt Cobain coming on for number 6, George Smith. Hasn't he had a whale of a game, George Smith, tonight? He'll get a great ovation as he comes off the field at Telstra Stadium.
He's a hero. Phenomenal work rate, and this is not looking good for Sterling Mortlock.
Sterling Mortlock's been cramping up. He's in pain, and he looks over at Joe Roth, who's replacing him, and is screaming at him, urging him on. They want this game.
Well, Matt Rogers moving into number 13, and Joe Roth moving to 15 at fullback.
Spencer and Howlett overlap for New Zealand here, but they've been forced towards the touchline again by the drifting Australian defence. Big Brad Thorne makes some valuable metres, and Howlett lost it. He was watching Larkham.
And the pressure is starting to build, and with pressure is coming the mistakes.
Australia won the World Cup, Tim, on the back of that magnificent defence in 1999, and this has been every bit as good tonight.
It's been outstanding defence, and I'm sure the defensive coach John Muggle will be very pleased as Collins leaves and Holler comes on the field.
Sailor. A couple of inviting gaps just on the edge of the New Zealand scrum. That may well be the end of the road for the All Blacks. If Flatley can put this one over, it would mean New Zealand would have to score more than 2 converted tries, and you would think they just haven't got enough time.
Well, everybody heard the referee, Chris White. Twice he said, keep your hands away. The ruck is formed, and Byron Kelleher couldn't help himself.
And look at George Gregan saying to Byron Kelleher, thank you very much. You would like to come to my place for a barbecue tomorrow.
He's giving him an absolute serve, isn't he?
Justin Marshall invited George for a barbecue after Bledisloe 2, and George went along.
Well, I
don't think he's on the same terms with Byron.
I think Justin Marshall, he drinks George Gregan's coffee. And I don't think George was offering the same sort of invitation to Byron Kelleher. But the Wallabies keep the pressure on.
Flatley has 17 points at the moment. This to make it 7 from 7. And almost certainly the end of the road for New Zealand, if successful. Just putting it outside the left hand upright, so the All Blacks still breathing. 6 minutes to go.
And the All Blacks still have time, but they need to score a try in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Somerville. And he was turned in the tackle there. Australia handling on the ground. Muliaina. He's playing advantage here for New Zealand. They've lost about 4 or 5 metres.
Well, New Zealand know they're running out of time. They've got to pick the tempo up. If they can strike in the next couple of minutes with a try, there's still a chance they can get back in this one.
Brad Thorne taking a rugby league quick tap, and he's having a little altercation there with Matt Cobain. Mialamu. Here's Aaron Major. I wonder how Sean Fitzpatrick's feeling at the moment. He didn't have one Wallaby in his Anzac 15 as Takiri heads after it with Rogers. Howlett's done a superb job there.
Howlett very well to recover that baseball slide.
Cleared away by McDonald to Stephen Larkham, who's played a lot at fullback in his career, and here's Wendell. Rokotoko in front. Thought Rokotoko stunned his momentum. Australia ahead 22-10. 4.5 minutes to go. Gregan out wide with Roth. And well taken by McDonald. But the Wallabies just depriving New Zealand of any opportunity.
And Wallaby coach Eddie Jones said through the week they had something left. They had something up their sleeve.
Well, the thing what they've done tonight, Australia has done tonight, is they've lifted their intensity and they've minimised their mistakes.
And New Zealand have given away a lot of penalties within kicking range, and it's been the intensity and the pressure of this Wallaby team with a rampant forward pack tonight. Larkham again, and Roth away from Thorne. Reuben Thorne doesn't miss too many tackles, but it's New Zealand's last chance. They have to score a couple of tries in the last few minutes, and they're not going to do it making mistakes like that, Byron Kelleher. It's all over, Red Rover, and John Mitchell, I think, has just acknowledged that.
Well, there you see the missed tackles. New Zealand 25, Australia 17. That's been the key, and Australia's line breaks up 5. Outstanding defensive work by the Wallabies tonight.
And look at the work at the break ground by Stephen Larkham. He's gone in over the top of Carlos Spencer to start with. He's pushed the ball back. He's then followed on and gone into the second tackle. That's the commitment that they're showing. That's the reason why they're on the right end of the scoreline.
Well, what about the atmosphere down here at ground level? The crowd's up as one. What the Wallabies have done tonight, they've destabilised New Zealand's game plan. They've destroyed it. The All Blacks have tried to play one-out rugby, and the Wallabies have gone wide and attacked out wide.
Just in New Zealand side of halfway.
Australia have got to get a good platform here, good scrum, get it out and just keep a hold of the ball and keep running at the back line. Don't give the ball back to the All Blacks. Don't give them the opportunity to score points.
Stephen Larkham and Rogers. So can the All Blacks get a consolation? Sailor's back here with Joe Roth, and he's quite happy to run it into touch with 2.5 minutes to go. The Wallabies know they're there. They're through to the final in 2003. And they're gunning for their 3rd World Cup victory next weekend.
Why would the All Blacks kick in that position? They have to keep their hands on the ball. They've got to score tries. They can't kick away the ball.
They haven't been able to penetrate the Australian defence, Dan. They've just run out of ideas. So the Wallabies, underdogs in this game, have emphatically answered their critics with a very clinical and professional performance. Here's Spencer trying to work something belatedly, but there's not too much left in these New Zealand legs. Somerville just threw it away in desperation, and Jeremy Paul shows that he can kick with his right foot and get a nice touch on halfway.
Well, Jeremy Paul has said if Keith Wood can kick the ball, so can I. I know where that ball's got to be. It's got to be at the under end of the field. New Zealand quick throw play on.
Doug Hallett. And this is McDonald. But the Australians have been so eager in defence. They've been always there in numbers as Kelleher finds a wall of gold jerseys in front. Nothing on here for New Zealand. Muliaina. Very disciplined Australia at the breakdown. Not so New Zealand. Inside the last minutes. And the Wallabies, the defending champions.
New Zealand will tap and go here. They have to. 30 seconds left in the match.
22-10, 1 try apiece, but Flatley has caned New Zealand's indiscretions. Marty Holler.
Well, for the All Blacks, it's a long, long 4 years till the next opportunity to play in a World Cup. and it's a lot of sleeps putting your head on the pillow.
Kelleher going up the middle. It's all academic now for New Zealand. Spencer just paddles it on for Jack. Major lost it. Australia determined to keep its line intact. The referee looks at the clock. He blows his whistle, and the Wallabies are the first team in history to qualify for 3 Rugby World Cup finals.
A magnificent match, and the Australians go through to next week's final. New Zealand shattered. The intensity of the Wallabies was too intimidating, and it knocked the All Blacks out of stride.
Yeah, you have to take a bow to Australia. They said they had a game plan before this game, and they came out and they executed it to the T. And you know, you can have no complaints. They deserve to win it today.
Telstra Stadium stands in a sea of gold for the home nation. The Wallabies put on a show tonight. Eddie Jones has been saying all week he had something extra, and my word did they do it. So the All Blacks are out, and it's Australia who are in the 2003 final.